I'm Erik. Today I'm going to be making a three-course meal for you involving some steak, some broccoli, and some penne pasta covered with an Alfredo sauce. We're going to use 3 different methods to cook each different meal that we're going to be making, so we're going to involve all different sciences in this process. Alright, so the first step that we're going to start with is we're going to start boiling our water, because the water takes the longest time to boil to get up to that temperature so that we can start cooking our pasta. Now, with the water, it's pretty easy. You just gotta let it sit up there and absorb the heat. The water is formed with all these different bonds inside of it, which are put together, and they absorb a large amount of heat at a large time without changing the temperature too greatly. So it takes a while for the water to start to actually boil. But once it does, it will reach that temperature of 212 degrees, and it won't be able to go any higher than that. At that point, the bonds will start to break and form apart, which causes the water to start bubbling. And once you see the water start bubbling, you know that your water's at the temperature that you could add the pasta and let it begin to start to cook. Our vegetable today, we're going to be making some broccoli. So instead of just taking broccoli, throwing it in the oven, letting it cook that way, we're going to first steam it. Now, the broccoli is actually a Mediterranean vegetable, and you can eat the whole thing with whether the stem or the leaves. Today we're just going to cut off the stem, throw it away, and have some little leaves. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it over here and we're going to steam this so that we're not losing any of the chlorophyll that's actually in the broccoli itself. The broccoli is full of vitamins, all these rich vitamins that we actually get most of our vitamin source from the broccoli. Now by steaming it, we're not going to be losing those in the water itself, losing the vitamins to the water, and it's going to keep the natural flavor of the broccoli while enhancing the richness of it. So we're going to take it, we're going to steam it here, and then we're going to start on the pasta. So we have our broccoli set up over there. We're going to let that steam for about 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, let it get all its nutrients and flavors cooked into it. And then we're going to start on our pasta. So we're going to be making some penne pasta. The water's boiling now. Before we put the pasta in there, you can see how it started to bubble and the steam was coming up, so you know the water's at its highest temperature that it can be reached, and it's not going to get any warmer. So we're going to put the pasta in there and we're going to let it sit and cook and absorb all the heat from it. Alright, so we have our pasta cooking there, we got our broccoli steaming there, and now we're going to start on our meat. Instead of going outside, it's like 4 degrees outside right now, and cook the steak on the grill, we're just going to throw it on the stove right now and cook it inside. Now, the stove is great for a couple different reasons while cooking steak. One, the metal gets super hot super fast, and that allows the steak to get a nice charcoal brown on it, a nice golden looking brown that adds that flavor to it. Now it also cooks the inside pretty well. But in order to do that, you have to turn the pan on and get it preheated for a while before. So if you look, you can see steam starting to come off of the pan already since it's been cooking for a while. Now when we throw these steaks on there, they're going to start to cook really fast due to the fact that the pan is so hot already. And as you hear that sizzling sound coming off, that's the juices from the steak being vaporized by the heat. We're going to let them stay here for a little bit, flip them every couple seconds. And as you can see, it's already starting to turn that different color, starting to get that browniness to it. Now with the steak, one little trick that you can use when trying to figure out how well you want your steak cooked is to just take your hands, hold your hands together, and feel the inside. Depending on what you want it, you move your finger down, starting from rare, going all the way to well done. You can just feel right here. Then you'll take the steak and you can feel it in the middle, and it'll give you a little hint to how long the steak has been cooking and how well it's going to be. The steak actually has this protein in it. It's full of protein. It's packed with it. And by heating it, we're not going to lose any of that protein flavor. It's not going to be lost in the heating process of the steak. but what we are going to gain is the flavor. The texture is going to come out. The steak's been cooking now for a couple minutes. It's cooking really fast, and it's getting that really good protein flavor mixture to it. Now, people think a lot that with steak you need to cook it thoroughly through it, kill all the bacteria out, which actually isn't true. Steak could be eaten at a pretty rare rate. Just the bacteria lays on the top of the steak. So when it's in the freezer or wherever you have it, you get some bacteria on it. However, that bacteria gets killed off pretty fast when you start to cook it. So you only need to really cook the outside layer of the steak, and the rest of it will be fine to eat on the inside, just as long as it's got that heat to it. And it all depends on how the person actually likes the steak cooked. So the steak's almost pretty done right now. It's getting to that point where I like it at. But yeah, so we have our pasta over here. Our pasta's almost done as well, and our broccoli is just about finished. So we'll start on adding the broccoli into the oven in just a minute to brown it up, get that little extra flavor to it, and then we'll start on our sauce. We'll put it over here. We just place it on the pan. Now we're gonna take and sprinkle some olive oil over it to give it that extra little hint of flavor. And then we're also gonna take and we're gonna add some garlic to it. So we added a garlic to it, and we're gonna throw that into the oven in a second. I just wanna flip these real quick. So we're gonna throw our broccoli into the oven and just brown it up a little bit. Now we have the oven cooked at 350 degrees, and that's just going to add the brownie flavor to the broccoli. It's not going to really affect how the process of the broccoli is taking effect. Pasta's just done cooking. The broccoli's in the oven browning right now, so we're going to start making our sauce. So we're going to be making this Alfredo sauce to throw over the pasta. First thing we're going to do is add about 3 tablespoons of butter into there. And we're going to throw also in about 2 teaspoons of olive oil. We're going to let this melt around for a little bit. Throw this in there. And we're going to cook this on about medium, in between low and medium, and just let this heat up and melt all the butter and the olive oil, and go from there. Then we're going to add some whipping cream to it, some cheeses, and then some other garlic stuff, and we'll start to cook from there. Alright, so we have our butter and our olive oil melting right now in there. We're going to add some cornstarch. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch into that. And we're going to let this mix around, get stirred up, and then I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients in there and bring it to a boil after that. So when you add the cornstarch in there, one of the very important things is make sure that you keep stirring the sauce at all times so that it doesn't lump up on you and get all clumped together. And as you can see, there's no clumps in there right now, just from the fact that you're stirring it. Alright, so now that we have all that melted together, we're going to add about 2 cups of heavy whipping cream to this. And we want to make sure that we keep stirring it at all times again so that it's not going to clump up on us and that it mixes all the flavors around. Then we're also going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. I don't even know what this is, but I'm going to add that in there, add some extra flavor to it. Mix that around. And then we're going to add about 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. Go. Alright, so before we add our cheese, we're going to add some garlic into it. We're going to add about 2 clumps of this. We're going to stir that around, and then we're going to let this come to a boil before we add our cheese into it. So with this sauce, we have all sorts of different flavors and proteins and carbs and all the stuff. All the basic food groups that we're adding into it are milks or cheese. And we're taking all these, we're adding it together, and we're going to boil them and mix them. And the heat and the flavor is just going to be combined of all these different ingredients that we're adding into it, and it's going to allow this for a natural, smooth tasting type of sauce. Our sauce is simmering there for a second, our pasta's done, our steak's done, and the broccoli's finished up. It's got that nice brown looking flavor to it. So we're going to take that out of there and let that sit for a little bit. Alright, so we took our broccoli out, and this has been sitting out for a while. So we're going to add our cheese to it. You're going to add about half a cup of Parmesan cheese to that. Mix that all around. And what the cheese is going to do is it's going to add the thickness to the sauce. And it's going to allow that extra flavor from the cheese. Alright, so we've been stirring this for about 8 minutes now. You can see that it's starting to bubble, and you can also smell the Parmesan actually cooking in the air. And you're starting to taste it, kind of. But we needed to make sure that we were stirring around, making sure that we stir the whole bottom so that the cheese wasn't burning to the bottom, and that you were spreading the flavor all around. Now that we see the bubble starting to form, we know that it's at its boiling point, so we're going to add in the mozzarella. And we added in about a cup and a half of that. And we'll let that stir around now. Well, so after we added the mozzarella into it, we stirred it, and we just kept stirring it, making sure we were stirring from the bottom, making sure nothing was getting burned, and we were mixing everything around. And we just wanted to keep stirring it until it was thick enough to pour onto our pasta. Now we cooked the pasta a little bit early because we didn't realize how long it would take to actually cook the sauce. So we left the pasta on heat and added some olive oil to it so that it wouldn't go dry on us. Now that this sauce is ready, it's thick enough, we're going to take it and we're going to just pour it on top of our pasta. Now you just want to mix it around in there, make sure that it gets all over the pasta, and it's going to be ready pretty soon. So now our food is all done cooking, we're done with the pasta and everything, and to set up our plate, what you want to do is when you're cutting the steak, you want to make sure that you cut across the grains of the steak so that you get to see it, and that's how Mr. Potts likes this cut. Now as you see with our steak, isn't that it got that nice pink inside, so it's pretty rare on the inside, but the outside's got that nice charcoal brown across the outside. So after cooking it, this meal's going to take you about half hour, 45 minutes to make, and you're going to have your finished entree. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Erik and have a good night.